Philip, very strong words indeed from Trump. Is the US really prepared to see these threats through?
Well, it does sound like it from the statement from the president. There was that short statement from him on Twitter, but a much lengthier one that we got in our inboxes here from the president just a short while ago. He had already teased this as the biggest measure so far on the border that he was going to announce. And indeed, if the problem is not solved, the illegal immigration problem is not solved, according to the president in his words, well, those tariffs on all imports coming from Mexico to the United States could go up to 25% by the 1st of October. These, of course, are tariffs that would be paid by the American consumer and by American companies, not by Mexico itself. Now, that would be on the 1st of October. But first, by the 10th of June, not a long time to go, those tariffs would be standing at 5%. And that would be quite a drastic measure from the White House, of course. Now, we've also heard in the last few hours from the White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, giving us a few more details as to what exactly the United States expects Mexico to do, maybe in order to not have these tariffs come into place in the first place. Now, one would be for illegal immigration to go down significantly and rapidly. That's what the White House wants to see happen pretty much straight away. It also wants to see Mexico secure the border at its southern border with Guatemala, and wants to make it more difficult for asylum seekers to enter the United States from Mexico. Now, of course, one thing we've heard from this White House before have been threats that have to do with the border before. There had been that threat from the president to close the entire border between the United States and Mexico. That did not happen. There is a chance that these tariffs might not be imposed in the end. But according to the White House tonight, the Mexican government would have to do a lot to stop that from happening.
Now, Philip, this is once again a case of the US using trade threats to get a country to play ball, this time, of course, with immigration. What effect is all this likely to have on US-Mexico diplomatic relations more widely?
Well, a pretty immediate one already, because the Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he doesn't usually respond to President Trump when he criticizes Mexico on Twitter. But he did so this time around by actually publishing a public letter on the social media platform. He criticizes Washington for its, quote, coercive measures. And indeed, what the Mexican president here is doing is he is sending the foreign minister right here to Washington this Friday to sort this problem out, if indeed the United States and Mexico can sort this out. So Mexico has certainly been rattled by what the United States has announced in the last few hours. Now, the United States-Mexico-Canada trade deal, the trade deal, the free trade deal that's supposed to replace the NAFTA deal. Now, that is supposed to be ratified essentially over the next few weeks, both in the United States and Mexico. So the timing here really isn't good from Washington. It means that this trade deal that is supposed to be one of the big successes of the Trump administration is now in jeopardy, essentially. And one more thing, we haven't heard yet from Mexico whether it is going to impose retaliatory measures. It could, of course, but there has been no mention of that so far.